These are the top 5 longest wars in history. At number 5 is the Byzantine-Bulgarian Wars, which lasted for 675 years. The Byzantine-Bulgarian Wars were a series of conflicts that took place for 675 years between the Eastern Roman Empire and Bulgaria. The wars began when Khan Aspara led his people, the Bulgars, across the Danube River into Byzantine territory in 680 CE and established their kingdom. Though the Bulgarian Empire and its successes posed a significant threat to Byzantium's sovereignty, throughout the centuries-long conflict, both empires achieved some level of peace and security by signing treaties and long-term truces. That peace would eventually shatter under Tsar Simeon and Tsar Ivan Alexander, who were determined to expand their empire further into Byzantine lands. The last war of the series brought victory to Bulgaria in 1355 CE, ultimately leading to the Ottoman conquest, and that marked an end for both empires. Coming in at number 4 is the Roman-Persian Wars, which lasted 681 years. The Roman-Persian Wars embroiled two of the most powerful empires of the ancient world in conflict. The wars began in the mid-1st century BCE and didn't end until 628 CE, lasting a staggering 681 years. The wars began with a failed negotiation for an alliance between Mithridates II and Lucius Cornelius Sulla, followed by an invasion into Mesopotamia by Roman general Marcus Crassus in 53 BCE. During these wars, there were periods when both sides achieved significant victories over one another. Finally, Eastern Roman Emperor Heraclius and his brother Theodore managed to deliver fatal blows to the Persian Empire, and the subsequent Persian ruler successfully sued for peace. Even today, the Roman-Persian Wars are some of the longest and most influential wars in history, as technological innovations altered the world's military tactics for centuries to come. At number 3 is the Anglo-French Wars, which lasted for 706 years. The Anglo-French Wars were a series of conflicts fought for 706 years, extending from 1109 CE until the second defeat of Napoleon in 1815. At that point, Napoleon's empire conceded to the combined strength of Europe. The Anglo-French Wars were mainly fought for control over French lands and included prominent battles such as Agincourt, Crécy, and Waterloo. Early struggles saw the successful deployment of the legendary British longbowmen, who trained to wield heavy yew longbows from a young age. However, the Anglo-French Wars also had far-reaching consequences beyond Europe, playing an essential role in forming independent colonies overseas. For example, France provided critical resources to the United States in the American Revolution of 1775. Interestingly enough, while there were many conflicts between France and England during this period, they were not continuous. Instead, there were relatively long periods of peace interspersed throughout. That sporadic frequency illustrates how dynamic the geopolitical situation was at that time, when tensions could shift from war to peace in a brief period. Coming in at number 2 is the Roman-Germanic Wars, which was fought for 708 years. The Roman-Germanic Wars were a series of conflicts that spanned 708 years, from 113 BC to 596 CE. This clash between the two civilizations resulted in the displacement of the Roman Empire and Germanic ancestral regions from the 2nd century BCE to the 10th century CE. Though there were plenty of battles and alliances over these centuries, a significant event was the 476 defeat of Romulus Augustus to Odoacer, which marked the official end of the Western Roman Empire. Over the next 120 years, Frankish and Visigoth rulers continued to dissect the Roman Empire while engaging with Byzantine generals from Eastern Rome. The Byzantine-Lombard Wars overlap with the Roman-Germanic Wars, and it is at this time that Western Rome ceased to exist, thus ending the 708-year conflict. In conclusion, the Roman-Germanic Wars lasted an unprecedented amount of time and impacted European territories. And the longest war in history is the Reconquista, which lasted for 781 years. The Reconquista was a long and arduous war fought by Spanish and Portuguese forces against the Muslim rulers of the Iberian Peninsula. The conflict began around 711 CE when an Islamic Berber army crossed the Strait of Gibraltar. These invaders entered Spain and Portugal, and by 718 CE, the Moors controlled much of Iberia. Christian kingdoms fell to the prowess of the Cordoban Caliphate until the Caliph disintegrated in the 11th century. After that point, Christian kingdoms slowly resurged and grew to dominate the peninsula. Though there were a series of defeats and victories on both sides throughout these centuries, eventually, in 1492 CE, Granada in present-day southern Andalusia finally fell to Ferdinand II and Isabella I. That defeat marked the end of one of the longest recorded wars and ushered in a new era of Catholic Christianity for Iberia as it entered the Renaissance.